Hello, ladies. Oh my goodness. Let me make this a little bit better. That glare was crazy. All right. Welcome. Welcome to today's mini training around universal law number 2. So before we dive in, go ahead and take a breath with me. And exhale. So inhale and exhale. Go ahead and just drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw. And I want to ask you an honest question, right? I want to ask you to ask yourself an honest question. So, when it comes to where you're at in your life, in your business, in your relationships, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for clarity? Are you waiting for permission? Are you waiting for confidence? Or are you waiting for someone else to come and save you? Today, we're talking about law number 2, the law of radical self-responsibility. We are diving deep over the next 10 weeks around the universal laws of iconic leadership. And every week we are going to talk about what the law is, where the law was formed. And then every week there will be a mini activation after these training videos. So at the end, I will give you a little bit of what I call inspired homework that you guys can do during your CEO Power Hour time or CEO day or just a reflection time out at your favorite coffee shop. Okay. So today we're going to dive into law number 2. If you missed law number 1, scroll down and go and check out law number 1. They really do stack upon each other. However, you will find that all of these laws really are interconnected. Okay. They all kind of require each other as well. So this law, right? Responsibility. And this law is where sovereignty begins, because waiting is the most socially acceptable way women abandon themselves. Okay. So most women believe they are really responsible, right? They pay their bills, they show up for their families, they build the business, they manage the households, they handle everything. But radical self responsibility is not about handling logistics, it's about ownership of your current reality. Okay. It's about understanding that where you are right now, financially, emotionally, physically, or relationshiply, is the result of the standards that you tolerate. It's the result of the boundaries you don't enforce or you do enforce. And it is also about the decisions that you allow, that you delay. And of course, the stories that you continue to say and rehearse in your head or out loud. And let me be very clear. This is not about blame. Okay. This is not about blame or shame. But it is important to understand that, you are responsible for your life and what happens to you. Okay. But are responsible also for how long you let things go and how long like what you tolerate and things like that. So there was a season of my life, ladies, where I was incredibly frustrated with almost everything, right? My marriage felt very tense. My business felt heavy. And although I was extremely healthy, like physically looking, my body felt so disconnected from, like real health, right? Like physically I looked great, but internally it was just a hot mess. And I kept thinking, if my team would just, if the timing were better. And then I had a moment of brutal honesty. I remember thinking, Carissa, nothing changes until I change. No one's coming to save you. Not your husband, not your partner, not your family, not your kids, not the economy, not the president. Like nobody's going to come and save you. You have to be willing to save yourself. And nothing changes until you change. Right. And it was easier to blame my circumstances. It was more comfortable to point outward. Right. I always found myself like, well, you, this. And it was more socially acceptable to say, well, this is just how it is. But if I am a leader in my life, if I am sovereign, if I call myself an alpha queen, then I am responsible for the energy I allow. I'm responsible for the conversations that I have or I avoid. And I am fully responsible for the standards that I reinforce. Okay. And that's when I realized something that really hit me hard. Waiting is abandonment. Now, here's where I want to introduce something very, very important, right? And I'm going to give you a super high level version of this. This is something that I teach my clients. It's called princess thinking versus queen thinking. Okay. Now, let's start off with the princess. Okay. We all grew up watching a lot of princess movies, right? Think Cinderella, think Sleeping Beauty, think Rapunzel, right? And all of these princesses are waiting to be saved. Okay. A princess waits to be chosen. She waits to be rescued. She waits for someone to come and fix the castle. She waits for validation. She waits for certainty before she moves. A princess says things like, when he changes, or when my boss sees my value, or when I feel more confident, or when I have more support, or, I just don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have, I can't. She believes that power comes from being selected, from being chosen, from being rescued. Okay. And it's not your fault because we grew up watching movies like this, right? We all believed that, oh, we want to be princesses and we want to be beautiful. And I'm like, that's great. And we learned how to wait, and wait to be rescued. We learned that in order to be powerful, someone else was going to have to come and freaking save us. So that's the princess thinking. That's princess thinking. That's princess energy. Okay. It's almost like the victim in the story when we think about it, right? She's waiting to be saved. And until she is saved, she's stuck in the castle. She's wishing, hoping, and praying that things are going to get better. She's living at effect of what everything is happening to her around her, right? She's living at the effect of her past. She's allowing her past to define her. So let's look on the other, side of the spectrum, right? The queen. Right now, a queen does not wait, right? A queen decides. A queen understands that she may not control every circumstance, but she always controls her response, her standards, and her next move, right? So a princess would ask, why is this happening to me? Or, I just hate that things like this always happen to me. Where a queen would say, okay, this sucks. And what am I going to do about it? Right? A princess hints, a queen communicates. Okay. A princess hopes, a queen leads. And here's the truth that might sting a little bit. Okay. You can be a queen in one area of your life and still be operating like a princess in another. You might be decisive and bold in business, but passive in your relationship. You might lead a team with authority, but avoid enforcing boundaries with your family. You might be powerfully, publicly, but abandon yourself in private. When we look at business, we could say, oh my gosh, I'm a total queen when it comes to marketing and branding and putting myself out there. But holy moly, I am a total princess in the sales department. I'm blaming the economy. I'm blaming the fact that nobody has money. I'm blaming the fact that maybe my programs aren't the right fit, right? I'm blaming myself, like all of the things. So yes, you can be a queen in one area and also be a princess in another. And guess what? Every new level that we, step into requires us to figure out where are we being a princess and where are we being a queen. So this is not here to shame you, because honestly, once you realize that you're being a princess in that area and you decide you want to do something about it, you are no longer a princess because you're finding a way, you're finding a solution, you're finding and figuring out how to get your shit unstuck, right? How to get you unstuck from the shit. Because a princess is going to get stuck and be like, oh, I'm just going to have to sit in my shit until someone comes and saves me. Where a queen is going to be like, damn, this shit stinks. I'm going to get out. Right? See the difference? So a queen is living at cause. She's going to say, okay, what's in my control? What can I create? How can I get out? What's the solution? How do I get what I want? Okay. Different thinking. So this, like, how does this kind of come into the radical responsibility? Well, no one's coming to save you, right? No one is coming to save you. And radical self-responsibility is the moment you retire that princess narrative. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone else to stabilize the environment and you stabilize yourself first. This law requires three things, right? It requires you to stop blaming circumstances, stop blaming other people, stop blaming, the society, the economy, your past, your trauma, your drama. Stop blaming. You stop blaming, things from your childhood, your partner, your industry, your lack of time, your past failures. Okay. And again, not because those things didn't impact you, but because staying there keeps you powerless. The second thing that, that really focuses in on is that you've got to stop outsourcing your authority. How often do you already know the decision you need to make, but you still ask five other people what they think? How often do you ask for permission for something your body already said yes to? That's princess energy all day long, and you're outsourcing your power. Queen energy makes the decision and she refines it if it's necessary. Quick little story about that is when I was filing for divorce back in 2018, me and my husband at the time, we had just told the kids that we were going to file for divorce. And this is after 15-year marriage, you guys. I was 19 when I met him and when we got married. And so 15 years later, I'm in my mid 30s and we're all sitting around the dinner table because that's how I tend to break the news about anything, right? Whether we're moving or we're expecting a baby or whatever, right? Like something that happens when you get all your family together and then people are laughing and connected and you're like, oh, by the way, I got a new job or this or that, right? And so there we were around the dinner table and everyone was kind of having dessert. And I was like, oh, hey guys, Nick and I want to, talk to you about something. And they're like, oh, okay, what? And I was like, actually, I've decided to file for divorce. And immediately they started projecting all of their opinions and advice and fear onto me. They're like, Carissa, that's not Christian-like of you. Carissa, maybe you should try and work it out. Carissa, go to therapy. Carissa, do this. Carissa, do that. Carissa, this is not right. And I had to stop them right there at the dinner table because a princess would have just let them just hound her with all this bullshit, where I was like, listen, I'm a grown-ass woman. I'm not looking for permission or validation. I'm looking for support. And if you cannot give that to me, then there's the fucking door. And yes, I said that. And yes, it was scary. And yes, some of my family left. I was willing to burn everything that I had down to follow my heart. When we're making decisions, ladies, right, which I know we talked about in Universal Law number 1, when we're making decisions, it's our job to get clear on what we want and what's good for us. Then we have to take radical ownership of that decision. Okay. So when I broke the news, I was not asking for permission. I was not seeking validation. I was saying, I've come to this decision, and if you cannot support me, there's the door. Okay. Now I know that's radical, but they could have easily talked me into something that I didn't want. And a lot of women do get talked into something that they don't want or that's not a good fix because they are still the victim in the story. And I am not a princess, right? Like I vowed to myself many, many years ago, close to a decade ago, that I was going to take full responsibility for my life, no matter what that looked like, no matter how scary it was. Okay. So, yeah, that's the kind of the second thing is you have to stop outsourcing your authority. The third thing is that you've got to stop waiting to feel ready. Okay. Feelings are amazing. Emotions are incredible, but you waiting to feel comfortable and confident before you act, that is keeping you stuck. That is wasting so much time. Okay. Confidence does not come before action. I think when you take an action step and then you like, oh my God, I didn't die, you start to build self-confidence, right? Clarity does not come before movement. Power does not come before decision. Confidence, clarity, and power all come after you simply make a decision and make a move. Okay. So it comes after. You're never going to feel ready to change your life. You're never going to feel ready to invest in a coach. You're never going to feel ready to spend money or buy a new car or have a baby or buy a house. You're going to, a lot of people wait for the right time. And I'm like, you're never going to have the right time. Just fucking create that time and then you will do it. Okay. So, power, clarity, and confidence does not come from wishing, hoping, waiting, and praying. It comes from action. So if something in your life is not working, there is a standard that you are tolerating. There is a boundary that you are not enforcing. There is a conversation that you are possibly avoiding. There is a decision that you are delaying. And every time you delay, you reinforce the identity of a woman who hesitates. Radical self-responsibility, it sounds harsh, but it's not. It is freeing. It is liberating. Because when you accept that you are the source, that you control your life, you stop waiting to be rescued. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop saying when things calm down. You understand that I create the tone, I create the shift, I create the standard, I create the movement. So that is powerful, right? To know that we have so much power within us. It's beautiful. So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to identify one area where you've been waiting to be saved, right? Not 10, just one. Where have you been operating like a princess instead of a queen? Is it in your health? If it's in your health, where is it? Is it in your food, your dieting, and guys, when I say diet, I don't mean like restrictive dieting, right? Like I think of like an overall diet, healthy fats, macros, all those things, right? So is it in your diet? Is it in your sleep? Is it in your gym? Is it in your mental health, right? Like where? If it's in your leadership, is it in your team development? Is it in your, relationships? Is it in your pricing? Is it in your boundaries? So get very crystal clear on where you've been operating like a princess instead of a queen, right? Health, wealth, leadership, relationships, business, pricing, whatever. And then once you've identified that single area, then ask yourself, what decision have I already known that I need to make that would help me take action? Because action is going to get us what we want. Not the dramatic one, right? An honest decision. Radical self-responsibility is not about blowing up your life overnight. It's about making one aligned decision and standing behind it. Remember, ladies, queens don't wait to be saved. They rise to be sovereign. Waiting is abandonment. Decision is power, and you are not here to wait. You are here to lead, my friend. All right, ladies, I hope you have a beautiful day. I'm excited. It's hair coloring day, so I apologize for this, but I don't, right? Because I'm like, yay, it's time to cover up all the grays that, anyways. Okay, ladies, I hope you have a beautiful day. Let me know how this lands for you. Let me know if you decide to take action. Let me know what area of your life you've been operating like a princess in and a queen in. I'd love to know, right? Let's celebrate the queen moves and let's honor the fact that we have work to do. All right. I will see you later. Bye for now.